Technically, everyone watching this video has more money than me in their bank account.
If you hate MrBeast, what I'm about to show you will seem unethical and like a clear abuse of fame for money.
3 different crypto deals, 3 completely different tokens, and yet every single one plays out with the exact same script running underneath it. Normally, a claim like that would come from some random account chasing engagement, but here it's coming from Coffeezilla, the one channel on YouTube people actually trust to dig into financial scams and come back with receipts. And this time, guys, the person sitting under his microscope is MrBeast. Let's start with where this whole thing actually began. Rewind to 2021, right at the peak of the NFT craze, when people were spending real money on cartoon ape pictures and treating it like the future of finance. MrBeast jumped in publicly hyping a collection called CryptoPunks, telling his massive audience they were worth a look. Taken by itself, that's not unusual. Plenty of celebrities were riding that same wave. The issue is everything that was happening quietly next to it. According to Coffeezilla's investigation, MrBeast also got into the early presale of a connected project called Super, dropping $100,000 in before almost anyone outside a tight circle even knew the token existed. Not long after, millions of Super tokens landed in his wallet. And there's a simple mechanical reason behind that, not a lucky break. Get positioned cheap while almost nobody's watching. Wait for a recognizable name to pull a crowd toward the project, then ride the wave of attention that name generates once it's publicly tied to the token.
MrBeast sold about $200,000 worth of these tokens.
That wave turned into roughly $200,000 worth of tokens getting sold off. And the timing is really what gives the whole thing away. MrBeast tweeted one single word, super, replying to a hype post on May 12th. Inside of 72 hours after that tweet reached his millions of followers, that exact batch of tokens was already gone. Call it a coincidence if you want, guys, but from the outside, this is textbook pump and dump, and defending it as anything else is a stretch. So once people started noticing the pattern, MrBeast's team needed some kind of answer, and they landed on one explanation in particular, one they'd end up leaning on more than once.
Quote, "These investments were made and managed in consultation with industry experts to ensure full compliance with all appropriate rules and regulations. The wallet is not owned or managed by Jimmy, but rather a fund led by respected and sophisticated managers. The fund closely evaluated and scrutinized hundreds and hundreds of opportunities, which resulted in several investments. Some have been more successful, others less, and others still works in progress. The fund's investment strategies apply the same rigorous standards as many other experienced investors in the field."
Once you get past the PR polish, guys, the message really only says one thing. Jimmy wasn't the one trading. A fund was, staffed by unnamed managers labeled sophisticated, who somehow landed on the exact same decisions Jimmy would have made, at the exact same moment, down to the token and the timing. Generous barely covers calling anyone running a crypto fund sophisticated, given how much of that industry operates with basically zero regulation or oversight. If that story were actually true, you'd think the team would be more than willing to clear it up with a few basic, direct questions. Here's what actually happened once Coffeezilla tried asking.
"I didn't get a response."
What came back was silence, total for months at a stretch. When there's truly nothing to hide, stretching out silence like that doesn't exactly inspire confidence. If anything, it reads far more suspicious than just giving a straight answer ever would have. Digging further, it turns out the wallet behind all of this was never officially confirmed as MrBeast's own. It traces instead to an account called Wu-Tang Clan, linked to a separate crypto figure named Jason Williams, someone who's posted about NFTs, worn the merch, and tied his own name to that same wallet publicly. That's a convenient bit of distance to have sitting there right when you'd want it. Except MrBeast himself ended up chipping away at that distance. On an old podcast appearance, he openly talked about buying CryptoPunks together with Logan Paul after Gary Vee reportedly got them both on a late-night call, insisting CryptoPunks were about to become the next Facebook. By his own account, he was sitting right there for the pitch, made the call to buy in personally, and later discussed the whole thing openly under his own name on a public podcast. Hardly the profile of someone who'd handed every decision off to a fund manager he'd never even met. Claiming total distance from a deal you've openly described being present for is a hard position to hold, guys, though he certainly gave it his best shot. Even so, the deal that really seals this argument isn't even the first one. It's what happened with a token called Earn, tied directly to a charity auction for Team C's, MrBeast's own ocean cleanup initiative and supposedly the most wholesome, feel-good corner of his entire brand. That auction was scheduled to run for 2 full months, raising funds through sales of the token itself, but halfway through, MrBeast's fund reportedly dumped $2 million worth of Earn tokens all at once, crashing the price and leaving everyone who'd bought in stuck holding tokens worth next to nothing.
Because regardless of your intentions, selling tokens within a month of your 2-month charity auction is wrong, stupid, and unethical? Yes, I think that as well.
Torpedoing the very token your own charity depends on, right in the middle of the auction you personally built, goes well past a little questionable, guys. It's pulling money directly out of the hands of people who genuinely believed they were funding ocean cleanup, not somebody else's exit plan. There's an extra layer of irony buried in this too. One of Team C's own sponsors was Coca-Cola, a brand that shows up near the top of plastic polluter lists year after year. So an ocean charity backed by one of the world's biggest plastic polluters got rug pulled right as interest and price were at their peak. It sounds almost too on the nose to be real, except MrBeast handed us this one himself. Next up is XCAD, a project built around the idea of creator-branded tokens, essentially personal digital coins tied to specific names, in this case, MrBeast and KSI, two of the biggest creators alive. Investors got genuinely excited about this one, not just because of the names attached to it, but because of what a token like that could eventually turn into if the whole concept actually worked the way it was pitched.
In fact, the only reason we know MrBeast was in the presale is that there were several articles about it bragging about that fact. Once again, MrBeast's name was used to promote this instead of the fund itself. And internally to investors, I have to say, this built up a lot of excitement, not just because MrBeast is a huge name, but because XCAD had what's called creator tokens. So the idea to some investors is that, well, if they're investing MrBeast and KSI, what if they were ever to launch creator tokens? That would be massive.
Two of YouTube's biggest names potentially having their own branded coin down the line was, on its own, enough to draw serious investor money in fast. And once again, MrBeast's fund allegedly began flipping XCAD tokens shortly after launch, despite having publicly promised to hold long term. XCAD's own founder reportedly reached out directly, warning that this exact pattern would end up damaging MrBeast's reputation if it kept going. Judging by what happened afterward, the fund's answer was to keep selling regardless. So put all three side by side, Super, Earn, and XCAD. Different tokens, different projects, completely different timelines, and yet they all fold into the exact same shape once you look closely. Borrow MrBeast's name and reach to build hype, ride the value up on the back of people's trust, then quietly cash out before that hype fades, leaving everyone else stuck holding whatever's left. One instance could be written off as a fluke. Watching the same shape repeat 3 separate times is a lot harder to explain away, and what makes it especially hard to defend is that MrBeast clearly doesn't need this money, even though he once tried claiming he was basically broke.
No one ever believes anything I say, so I mean, because they're like, "You're a billionaire." I'm like, that's net worth. I have negative money right now. I'm borrowing money. That's how little money I have. Technically, everyone watching this video has more money than me, and their bank account, if you subtract the equity value of my company, which doesn't buy me McDonald's in the morning or whatever.
Not many people are convinced by that one, guys. Nothing about his situation looks like someone running low on money, and nothing here reads like a call made out of real financial need. This is someone already sitting on one of the biggest platforms and fortunes on the internet, apparently still comfortable squeezing extra profit from fans who trusted his name enough to risk their own savings on it. To his credit, Coffeezilla doesn't try to paint this as some simple tale with one clear villain and nothing more to it.
If you love MrBeast, there will be an explanation at every turn and a scapegoat. But if you hate MrBeast, what I'm about to show you will seem unethical and like a clear abuse of fame for money.
And that's probably about as balanced a take as anyone's going to give you on this whole situation. If you're already a MrBeast fan, there's an explanation and someone else to blame at every turn. If you're not, this is exactly what it looks like. Fame turned into leverage to pull money out of his own audience 3 separate times. Here's the actual problem underneath all 3 deals though. When someone has the kind of reach MrBeast has, his name alone can move real markets, whether he's placing the trade himself or letting someone else do it on his behalf. Fans put money in because they trust him specifically, not some anonymous fund manager they've never heard of and couldn't pick out of a lineup. That kind of influence comes with real responsibility attached, or at minimum, with the basic obligation to actually answer a direct question instead of stonewalling for months every time things get uncomfortable. None of this had to happen at all, guys. With real transparency from the start, or by just staying away from one of the most unregulated corners of the entire internet, this whole controversy never exists in the first place. Instead, what's left is a pile of ghosted questions, the same convenient excuse recycled 3 times over, and a growing list of fans who trusted a name and walked away holding tokens worth almost nothing. So here's the real question worth sitting with. Across 3 separate deals, all shaped exactly the same way, is this really just a string of bad calls made by people MrBeast happened to trust with his money? Or is "It was my fund, not me," simply the most convenient line in all of crypto for a fortune that somehow keeps climbing regardless? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're new here, this is the Clout Report. Like the video, share it with someone who'd get a kick out of it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.